Yeah, so hello Nupur. Thank you so much for joining me today on my channel. And this is going to be my first video officially. Like, I have done a lot of videos earlier with people, but I'm really excited to have one woman in tech, as we say, in my channel, and really excited to talk to you, get to know you, and get to know your journey on Outreachy program. So thank you so much for joining. And I would request you to introduce yourselves to the people who are watching us, and so that they can get to know you better, and yeah, just a general introduction.
Okay. First of all, thanks for inviting me. It's really nice to be able to reach out to so many girls here. And okay, so I'm Nupur, as already introduced. I'm currently a master's student and I'm pursuing my specialization in data science at University of Pennsylvania. So I'm a previous alumni of NSIT Delhi, where I graduated from last year. Yeah,
Yeah. Okay, great. So now in US, and earlier you were in India. So
yeah.
how Outreachy, like when did you do Outreachy, and were you a student at Delhi at that time, or you were in US? How did that happen?
Yeah, so I did Outreachy last summer.
Yeah.
So it was just after, I mean, I graduated from my undergraduate program and like just before I started with my master's.
Okay. So, what exactly is Outreachy? What is Outreachy, like, for the people who don't know or they have never heard the term Outreachy? So, what is exactly Outreachy?
So Outreachy is an open source program and it is basically a paid program and it targets to promote participation from the underrepresented sections of society and other sections of society who have faced diversity and really facing difficulties in entering the tech world. So yeah, so it is basically a 3-month program where you get to collaborate with a mentor and really contribute on a real life project.
Okay. So, how you got to know about it? Like, is it from seniors, social media? How you got to know about the program?
Yeah. So like open source was really encouraged in my college, and like seniors were there who used to participate in GSOC and RGSOC and Outreachy. So these were the three programs which stood out, and so yeah, I really got inspiration from them, and I at the course of my undergraduate program, I actually attempted all three of them each year, like in sequence.
Okay. So you were part of RGSOC also, GSOC and Outreachy.
Yeah, so by the end of my second year, I attempted for GSOC, but I didn't qualify.
Okay.
And then, so the following year, I attempted RGSOC, and that was with one of my roommates. We partnered together and we qualified that year. So that was my first year as a participant of open source, and I worked with another project of Mozilla.
Right.
And it was a really nice experience. So I wanted to contribute again to open source, and so the following year at Outreachy, I tried my hand at another Mozilla project.
Okay, so already you were working with the Mozilla project, and then in Outreachy again you worked on, but on another project.
Another project, yeah, that was different.
Okay, so your journey, as far as I understood, started from almost first or second year of, uh,
Second year, yeah.
yeah, your college. You started contributing to open source as well. So, may I know, like, what was exactly your role while doing this project, or which part you were handling? What was the tech stack? If you can just. Uh,
Yeah, sure. So so basically there's a component, you're all aware of Mozilla Firefox,
yeah.
and at the back end there is a component which is called the Gecko driver.
Okay.
And so my part was to write code for a library called Marionette, which was a part of this Gecko driver component.
Okay.
And the tech stack involved was basically coding in Rust.
Mm-hmm.
So Rust is a new language which I learned through this, really contributing to open source. And yeah, so it was mostly Rust, and then sometimes I got to see JavaScript code as well.
Right. So, as you are now studying in US, uh, do you believe that what all you have pursued in India and the extra things you did apart from the academics, you went for RGSOC, you went for GSOC, you went for Outreachy. So all these things consume and take a lot of time, and you have to learn. And
Yeah,
also, it doesn't come like really quick. You have to also work through it. You have to send reports on time. You have to talk to your mentor. So how did you manage all this? And did you feel that you got an advantage while you went to US or while selecting your university or whatnot? So you got any advantage of having a previous work experience? That I want to know about.
yeah. So first of all, open source really gives you an idea of how things operate in the real world.
Yeah.
So because you're collaborating with a mentor and you're learning about version control. So open source projects usually will involve GitHub or Mercury or some sort of version control system, which is used by every company these days. And like apart from that, there are also other tech stacks, and getting real life experience really makes your application like makes you stand out from the rest of others who have just done academic projects. So yeah, I think it really made me dig deep into into how things actually work here. And like regarding the US, it really helped me in applying for like software engineering interviews. So I had projects to talk about,
Mhm.
and like Mozilla is such a good organization, so it also made my resume stood out from the rest.
Right. So yeah, amazing. I'm really happy to see that you participated in all three programs, and now you are in US studying in a university and also working. And basically, I want to know more about the program, as the program is now again accepting the applications. So uh,
Yeah,
what what you think can work if someone is applying for the first time? A lot of people don't get selected, and as far as I know, there are two kinds of application. I think one is the
yeah,
preliminary kind of application, and then again you get the second form link where you have to apply again. So, and you have to make some contribution, open source contribution to
yeah.
your projects. So um, what how should one approach if someone is just like hearing Outreachy for the first time through our video maybe, and now they are applying? So what should be the steps, and what are the do's and don'ts basically of the application process? Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah. So, as you said, the first is the preliminary question set of questions,
Yeah.
and basically, Outreachy has divided like the applications and into northern and southern hemisphere. So,
Okay.
usually, like most of Indian students fall into the northern hemisphere category. So, they applied and they're like applicable to apply to the summer round of Outreachy. And so you need to be really careful in specifying the details right for the first time, because once you submit you cannot really change it. And also if your application gets rejected, then you really have to wait another year to apply.
Right.
And yeah, so regarding the questions, so it has questions which asks about our time availability and our other time commitments for the time period. And Outreach really requires us to like to be working full time. So we need to have 40 hours per week present.
Mhm.
And usually if you have any other volunteer work or something, you're clearly required to mention it.
Right.
And yeah, and if you don't like if you have, say, if you have more than 20 hours per week already,
Right.
so it's not basically considered a good thing.
Mm-hmm.
um, so yeah, it's really required that you contribute like through completely, and like are able to give the hours which they ask for.
Right. Right. Right.
Yeah. And yeah, so yeah, the first part of the application has these questions, and then the second part has some essay based questions. And
Okay.
I think those are really important
Mm-hmm.
as well. So it asks questions such as where did you face diversity, or are you part or some minority group.
Okay.
And then I think we should really take some time and like point out some real life instances and examples from there, and
Okay.
not just write, abstract answers.
Okay.
Yeah, because they really want to know that that you are in, like, you are a really are an applicant in need, and they are basically trying to reach out to the right people.
Right.
So
So,
yeah,
if they are extending an opportunity, so they want to make sure that you are the right person to choose or take you as an intern. So basically differentiating on the basis of need. Why do you classify yourself into diverse section, and what is your reason? What whichever things you have faced, like you said, include more real life instances in the application so that
yeah,
people
exactly.
can relate to what you are saying. Yeah. Okay. Understood.
Yeah, and one more thing. So like what and like what are some examples which you can give there? So I really want to let them think about things such as being not able to participate in good projects because you couldn't find a group for yourself, or you lacked mentors in college. So these are really things which are very common with everyone, and I think you should really think along these domains and answer these questions.
Right. Definitely, because in India, I think a lot of students face this problem of not having the practical knowledge, or not having those kind of updated mentors who can actually guide you on something which is going on right now in the technology. Because whatever the textbooks are, they focus on completely different things, and real life,
Yeah,
I think, completely focuses on different things and projects. So this type of programs like Outreachy give an exposure to open source as well as real life experience, hands-on experience, and working in teams, remote experience also. So you can anytime
yeah,
become a remote employee after that, and if you do it really well. So yeah, so it has a lot of benefits, and I think Indians have most of these problems, most of the Indian students. So they might definitely relate to all this, though this video is for everyone. And yeah, so apart from that, there is one thing which is like where I think most of the people get stuck, is making the first contribution. And so would you like to highlight any of the points from that, making the first contribution, because I think it is the part of the Outreachy application.
yeah.
Yeah.
So after your initial application gets accepted, there is a certain range of time where you're needed to record one contribution, at least for the organization you want to apply.
Okay.
And I think the first step is really to get to join the communication channel. And
Okay.
so for example, Mozilla used IRC,
Yeah.
and some organizations also use Slack or maybe Discord. So
Um,
there are a number of channels, and I think the first step is to really look at the organizations and the tech stacks which they are working through,
yeah.
and although it is encouraged to apply to something new, but like I usually suggest people to go for that for the organization which have at least one tech stack which you're aware of. For example, it has 3 or 4 languages. If you at least know one of them, it would be easier to start with.
Okay.
And yeah, so after you select the organization and join the communication channel, um, it is considered a good process to introduce yourself to the community.
Okay.
So really introduce that you are a part of this program and you want to make a contribution.
Yeah.
And uh, and the mentors, like who if they're active at that point of time, they'll guide you, or if some other members are there, then they'll guide you to how
Fine.
you should start with it. And so usually with Outreachy, they recommend organizations to have a good first issue bug attached to each of the issues in their repository currently.
Fine.
So when you see the description, they'll also describe like the bugs, the list of bugs which you should go through.
Fine.
And yeah, so So I think first of all, they'll ask you to really set up the project on your system, and for some projects it can be really heavy.
Yeah,
So the first step definitely involves setting up that, and at any point of step, it's really important to be aware that if any at any point of time you want help, you need to ask it to people from the community and not be stuck at it.
right.
And yeah, I mean, you don't have to be scared about anything. People are there to help you.
Yeah,
Like
right.
there's a first time for everyone, and I think they understand it very well, and they're very supportive of that.
So, what do you feel is the prerequisite if somebody who has never contributed to open source, for example, or is beginner in programming, or I would say never made a project on their own. So, um, what is the prerequisite exactly for the program? Like, whatever I understood is you should know GitHub, because uh, unless and until you won't be able to make your first contribution, because for that
Yeah.
you need to know GitHub, you need to be good in some of the tech stacks at least which the projects are using. So um, um, do you feel the same, like these are the prerequisites, or anyone can apply, like any kind of beginner?
Yeah, I believe version control is really necessary.
Yeah.
And you should at least have a basic idea of how to maybe how to poke a repository, how to install it locally, and if you and you like solve some issues, or how to push code, like have a very basic idea of it.
Mhm.
And I think there are really good courses on platforms like, I think, Udacity. There are free open courses on Git, so
Yeah.
you can just go and have a look. It won't take much of your time. And then apart from that, so even after you have like really learned through it, when you are actually applying it here,
Yeah.
you will face many other issues. So I remember when in RGSOC, when I was making my Git contributions,
Yeah.
uh, I used to mess up a lot, and I think that happens with like any time you're applying these. So it's really difficult to manage. Like it's a complex system, and like definitely there are issues,
Mhm.
but I mean, it's okay to fall into these, and like you can correct it, or there will be some steps. So it's, you'll never know if you haven't tried actually.
Right. So you will get to know things only when you try it. Some of the people try for, I think, once or twice, and then they are like, it's not happening, and they leave it.
Yeah.
So,
That's what.
so for these people, just for motivating them, do you feel if someone has done, like you have already shared though about it, but still, I want to again ask this question: that if there are two candidates in a classroom, and once some person has done maybe one of these programs, like not all of these, but at least one of these programs, gone through Outreachy or RGSOC, GSOC, any of these programs, do you believe that there is a difference between like people, like how they think, how they work, what all they can do, the possibilities in future? Do you feel there might be any changes between these two people?
Yeah. So I think working on an open source project really prepares you well
Mhm.
to when you are starting off your first job, maybe after your education is done, and you have more idea about how to collaborate, and so there is also a decorum which you need to maintain. You need to respect people you're talking to. You cannot be rude to them, and
Yeah,
I think these are really important skills which
right.
need to be aware of at the
Yeah.
time.
So basically, like apart from GitHub, apart from, I would say, all the technical skills like tech stack, everything, you also need to be a good communicator. Like if you are shy of
Yeah,
texting people on community channels, if you are shy of speaking, because sometimes you also have to do video calls, I guess, or sometimes community meet
yeah, there
happens,
is.
because I am also like part of Mozilla from around past 5-6 years, and I'm also a Mozilla rep. So I have been in Mozilla community from a very long time, and I believe communication and communicating is very important, because some people get stuck at one point, and then, as you said, if you don't ask it you are going to be at the
Yeah,
same position
definitely.
for
Yeah.
yeah.
You don't have to feel bad about it. You just need to ask. Your mentors are
Yeah.
there. I mean, yeah, that's what I think.
Yeah, sometimes we are like how this will sound like if I ask this silly question, or if we are not able to find the solution and we have checked like n number of things but still we are not able to get it, because in open source projects and live projects everything is very new, like it is not pre-written somewhere the answers or whatever we are trying to find. So I believe that people who are actually working on it can only tell you how it is.
Exactly.
uh,
Yeah, because they have been working on it for more number of years. They have more
right,
experience
right,
and know more details about it. Yeah, for example, like the first time I was working on Rust,
right,
it was a very new language for me, and it became like it was difficult in the beginning, and I came across really silly compiler issues.
right,
And so we felt that we, how, like, how are we so stupid that we cannot even compile the code we have written? But yeah, it was difficult, and like anything new you're trying to learn will be difficult in the beginning, but once you have like gone through the process, it will become easy for
right.
you. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So, if you have like any message for the students who are applying this year, particularly if you want to give them any message, what would be your message for all the Outreachy applicants this time?
Yeah. So like my first really important message would be to write, like, fill your applications very carefully, and try to ensure that you're able to put in the time which is required. Otherwise you'll not clear like the initial round.
Right.
And then put as many examples and real life stories you can think of in your essays.
Right.
And after you qualify for the initial application, uh, so first explore the organizations before actually sticking to one. And what I've seen is that some of the organizations will have a more competition, and like 20 people are applying to it, and then there will be another organization where just one or two will be there. So also try to assess which organizations will be more helpful to you, and I mean which are more available and enhance your chances for selection.
Okay.
And then after you start contributing, don't just stop at one contribution.
Right.
You want to really make your profile stand out, just make more contributions, and just get in the habit of uh, like feel as you're part of the organization already. So
Right.
yeah, make as many contributions
Yeah.
as
So
possible.
not just making one contribution just because it is mandatory for
Yeah, yeah,
time, but just trying to do all things possible, like whatever you can do from your end. And
yeah,
the next thing I want to talk about is uh, if for example I'm applying and there are 10 different organizations, so should I, some people waste their time, and I would not say waste their time, but sometimes people are confused that there are 10 different organizations, and as you said you have to join community channels, there is a lot of process to do. So sometimes people get confused, and most of the time they join themselves into all the groups. They also try to contribute, at least one will happen out of those 10. So should people distract themselves into 10 different projects, or they should pick out like one or two projects and just focus on that, or they should apply for like and make contributions in every project? Is it allowed, first of all? Like I'm not sure whether it is allowed.
no, I think there's a limit. I think I don't remember, it's two or three,
Okay.
but yeah, that is the limit.
Okay.
And then even like making a single contribution takes a lot of effort.
Right.
So but yeah, again, if you feel that I think start with two maybe, and if you feel something is not working out,
Mhm.
then search for more, or otherwise just stick to these one or two. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So basically focusing on two projects which might relate to one of the tech stacks, as you said, which you are already
Yeah,
doing, and then apply for those projects. And also carefully sort the organizations, like where there is crowded. Like I believe
yeah, yeah.
organization like Mozilla, which is very popular among students. So I believe a lot of people apply to Mozilla and there are some new organizations also. And I think it is according to tech stack as well, not only with name but with tech stack.
Yeah, and another thing. So at the time I applied to RGSOC for the first time, there were projects, and even in Outreachy there will be projects with completely different languages, so Rust was one of them, and then I think there was Babel,
Right,
and just I don't remember, but yeah, two or three kind of really new languages. And
right,
so you see that these projects, no one has actually studied them in academic life. So
mhm,
also, although you don't know them, you know that there would be not so much people who are trying to collaborate in there.
right,
So like one of these is also a good steps. So you learn a completely new different language,
yeah,
and also simultaneously contribute to the program. So that's another thing you can do if you don't want to go for something which you have already worked on.
yeah. Because there are, I think, very like a good thing about all these open source contribution programs is that they all have very basic issues and very basic languages, right from HTML, CSS, and then you also have some complex things which people have not never heard about, but they want to try
Yeah,
it out of curiosity, like that. So the range is very, I think, the range is very high, and you can choose from whatever you want, like whatever you are comfortable with. Although, yeah, you need to be sometimes smart to get into the, if you really want it, and if you have that, because you did it after, I think, college, you had more time to look into Rust and also learn a new programming language and get into the program very well. Yeah,
yeah, I guess.
was it the reason? Like, I'm just trying to guess. Yeah. um,
No, so for both of my Mozilla projects were in Rust.
okay, so
So
already
yeah,
in RGSOC you were working with.
yeah.
Okay,
But
so
the time in RGSOC I had to learn, that was something very new.
yeah, and it was
So
with your college.
yeah,
Yeah. Oh, okay. So
yeah. But yeah. So you can ask for resources from people, and I really like to see some video courses
right,
before, or read books
right,
if
okay.
possible. Yeah, but like yeah, you cannot learn all of it. That's for
Yeah.
something for sure. You
But
can
at
just have a
um,
basic concepts, and yeah.
right, okay, okay, understood. Just I think we will finish this, but I just want to know what happens next. Like, once you clear all the rounds and your application gets shortlisted for Outreachy program, what happens next, and how exciting is it, and what is the experience like? So this is I think probably my last question.
Yeah. So like the first task is basically you and your mentor would plan out the whole schedule of what all things you're planning for the whole duration of time. And then you'll also become a part of their community. So maybe you'll join their weekly team meetings, and you'll have your own one-on-one calls with your mentor every week.
Yeah,
And I think it again gives you a taste of how things will be in after, like when you're working for full time.
yeah,
And it's a really amazing experience, because you get to contribute on a project which is really I mean getting used. For example, I used to really think my code is getting used in Firefox browser, and used to feel really happy about it. So
mhm,
yeah, when you make a contribution and you see it is being used in real life, you feel really happy about it. And each contribution, it kind of gives you happiness. That's what I think.
yeah. Definitely,
Yeah,
because creating a project which is just for a project purpose, it is different. But working for a company and making things happen, and things are moving very fast, and you are getting involved with the process. I think it's really
yeah.
amazing
So
experience.
yeah, you really get to see
Yeah,
your code being used, so it gives immense happiness. And then obviously over time you'll get a good experience to talk about it, and really it'll help you like forever in your life, I
right.
think.
Right. So yeah, it was so lovely talking to you. I like, it's almost like more than like almost half an hour, and uh, I could not realize it because your positivity towards everything and doing all these programs, and now being independently living in another country is really really inspiring for me, and really looking forward to what happens next in your journey. And maybe we can talk more about other programs, about RG in another video, maybe
Sure,
next
sure.
time. Yeah. And thank you so much, Nupur, for joining. And it was really amazing. I cannot even tell in my words how good I am feeling and how motivated I am feeling. Though I think we never talked about anything motivational, but the journey itself is so good, and I think all the people who are watching, they will be so inspired to participate in all these programs and not be afraid of all these things and learning new languages. Or I would say, because in India, I'm also doing one of the series here, which is like, people think that you have to learn C++, Java. Like, people cannot look beyond that, and that too they learn in order, like C and then C++ and Java. So one of the students came to me one day, and he asked me, "Can I learn Python, because I have not learned Java earlier?" So there are so much of myths going on in the system, and we believe that creating such videos and taking through your journey, I believe more people will be inclined toward learning new languages and also participating in the programs. Thank you so much, Nupur, and
Thank you so much. Yeah.
yeah, and it was amazing session, and I hope you all really enjoyed it. And I'll link all the blogs that Nupur has written, her social media profiles. You can connect to her on LinkedIn, on Twitter, follow her on Twitter, and take whatever advice. I hope her DMs are open for advices. If
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm already in touch with so many people. And then uh, also one more thing, like just for the last,
Yeah,
apart from girls, there are also other communities which are applicable to apply,
right,
and like transgenders or gender queers, and all of them are really invited to apply.
right.
And also I want to point out that if you are not one of these, and if you still think that you have faced any kind of diversity or feel underrepresented, you should have a shot at it.
Right, definitely.
Yeah,
Yeah. So you should not feel that it is only for girls, but if you feel underrepresented in the community in any way, then you
yeah,
should give it a try. Like, you should not
yeah,
step back. You should do it. Yeah. Yeah. So that is also a very great point. And so let's end this video with this
yeah,
positivity, and I hope a lot of people will apply this year.
yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. So yeah. So I have stopped.